In this video, we'll be discussing our OWASP Top 10 Protection Checklist. The OWASP Top 10 lists the most critical web application risks, refreshed from real breach data. OWASP, Open Web Application Security Project, is a nonprofit foundation that publishes the top 10 list of critical web application security risks. These issues drive most successful web attacks, and every cloud-hosted app is a target. Defense means secure coding, automated scanning, and runtime controls across your pipeline and infrastructure on AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. 1. Validate all input strictly. 2. Use parameterized queries. 3. Escape all output encoding. 4. Implement CSP and HSTS. 5. Secure session cookies. 6. Prevent CSRF with tokens. 7. Block XXE and SSRF. 8. Avoid insecure deserialization. 9. Update dependencies weekly. 10. Scan code on every commit. First, validate all input strictly. Every external input, query params, headers, bodies, uploads, webhooks, must match an expected format before processing. Reject the rest. Unvalidated input enables injection, path traversal like // password, and logic abuse. Allow list what is valid with schemas, ranges, and enums. Use Open API validation at the API boundary. Validate on the server even if the client already checked. Libraries such as AJV, Pedantic, and Jakarta validation beat ad hoc checks that are easy to skip. AJV, another JSON schema validator, is a popular JavaScript library for validating data against JSON schema. AWS API Gateway can enforce JSON schema models and return 400 before Lambda. Azure API Management Validate-Content does the same. Auth Security Core Rule Set adds runtime blocking for SQL injection, XSS, and protocol anomalies. By the way, this article is a condensed version of the complete article on blog.systemsarchitect.io. See the full blog article there. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, check the notes for links. Second, use parameterized queries. Prepared statements keep SQL code separate from data so the engine never treats parameters as executable SQL. Why does SQL injection still matter? SQL injection is still fully preventable yet still devastating. String concatenating user input into queries is how breaches like MoveIt scale events start. SAST, Static Application Security Testing, is automated scanning of source code for security vulnerabilities. Band concatenation via lint and SAST prefer ORM query builders. When raw SQL is required, use the parameterized raw API with placeholders, not template strings. Prisma, SQL Alchemy, SQLize, Entity Framework, and similar tools parameterize by default. The danger is developers bypassing them for speed with concatenated strings. Block that in review. RDS proxy can add pooling and IAM auth without changing safe query patterns. Third, escape all output encoding. Encode user data for the right context, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, before rendering to stop cross-site scripting. XSS cross-site scripting runs attacker script in a victim browser to steal cookies, phish, or rewrite the page. Stored XSS hits every viewer of the tainted page. Use auto-escaping templates. React JSX, Django, Jinja2, Go HTML/template. Treat dangerously set inner HTML, pipe safe, and similar bypasses as security sensitive. Add content security policy as depth, and when you must render user HTML, use DOM Purify with a tight tag allow list. Helmet, Razor, and Thymeleaf auto-escape paths keep the defaults on. The fourth, implement CSP and HSTS. content security policy limits what the browser will load and execute. HSTS forces HTTPS, so first hop cookies are not sent in clear text and stripping attacks fail. Start CSP in report-only mode for a week or two, fix legitimate scripts, then enforce with nonces instead of unsafe inline. For HSTS, start with a short max age, then grow to 1 year with include subdomains and preload, and submit to the HSTS preload list. CloudFront response headers policies, Azure Front Door Rules Engine, and Google Cloud Backend custom headers all ship CSP, HSTS, no sniff, and frame deny. Inject nonces in app or edge code when scripts must be inline. Fifth, secure session cookies. What does a stolen session cookie give an attacker? A stolen session cookie is full account access without the password or MFA. Set secure, HTTP only, same site strict, or at least lax, short max age, path slash, and prefer the host session prefix that requires HTTPS and no domain attribute. Rotate session IDs after login, invalidate server-side on logout, and store sessions in Reddish or similar, not only in process memory. Express session, ASP.NET Core add session, and Django session cookie settings all support this pattern out of the box. Sixth, prevent CSRF with tokens. How does cross-site request forgery work? Cross-site request forgery tricks a logged-in browser into firing state-changing requests from a malicious page because cookies attach automatically. Anti-CSRF tokens in forms and XCSRF token headers prove the request came from your UI. Double submit cookies work for more stateless setups. Same site helps, but is not enough if you use unsafe GET state changes or need some cross-site navigation. Django and Spring enable tokens by default. Disable only with security review. For JWT in header, SPAs, the browser will not auto-attach authorization, which reduces CSRF risk, but still lock down any cookies you set. Seventh, block XXE and SSRF. XML external entity is an attack that exploits XML parsers to read files or make unauthorized requests. Server-side request forgery is an attack where the server is tricked into making requests to internal or restricted resources. SSRF makes your server call internal targets, including the cloud metadata IP169254, which has leaked IAM credentials in incidents like Capital One. Disable external entities in every XML parser. For outbound fetches, block private ranges and metadata, and prefer IMDS version 2 on AWS with hop limit 1, so SSRF GETs cannot complete the token step. IMDS, Instance Metadata Service, is an AWS service that provides metadata about running EC2 instances. Azure and Google Cloud require special metadata headers. Still use managed identities and workload identity, so stolen metadata access is less valuable. Eighth, avoid insecure deserialization. Turning attacker-controlled binary, pickle, marshal, or unserialized data into objects can mean remote code execution, as with gadget chains and breaches like Equifax via struts. Prefer data-only formats, JY-SON, protocol buffers, never pickle.loads or object input stream on untrusted input. If native serialization is forced, allow list classes with object input filter. In Python, use JSON and pedantic, YAML.safe_load. In Node, avoid eval and unsafe VM patterns and watch prototype pollution. Ninth, update dependencies weekly. Where do most vulnerabilities actually live? Most of your code and most of your vulns live in third-party packages, often hundreds of transitive deps. Critical CVEs can be exploited within days of disclosure, so weekly updates beat monthly windows of known bad code. CVE Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures is a standardized list of publicly disclosed cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Automate with Dependabot, Renovate, or Sneak. Security PRs immediately, other bumps batched weekly. Pin lock files but refresh pins. Ship CVSS 9 Plus within 48 hours when tests pass. OWASP dependency check against the NVD is a free alternative that can fail builds above a CVSS threshold. National Vulnerability Database is the U.S. government repository of standards-based vulnerability data. 10th, scan code on every commit. SAST static application security testing is automated scanning of source code for security vulnerabilities. Why scan at pull request time? SAST finds injection, XSS, secrets, and bad crypto at pull request time, when a fix may take 30 minutes instead of days of emergency production work. Make SAST required, but block only high-confidence criticals first so the team does not mute a noisy scanner. Expand rules as maturity grows. To wrap up, allow list input, parameterized queries, and correct output encoding shut down the injection and XSS class that has dominated web breaches for decades. CSP, HSTS, locked cookies, and CSRF tokens turn the browser into another enforcement layer when app code slips. Hardened XML parsers, metadata protections, and safe deserialization blunt cloud-era SSRF and RCE paths. RCE, remote code execution, is a vulnerability that allows an attacker to run arbitrary code on a target system. Weekly dependency hygiene and SAST on every commit move fixes left when they are cheap instead of after the breach. Thanks for listening, and put these 10 checks into your next pipeline and app review. Thanks for watching and listening to this. Find a lot more articles and guides on both systemsarchitect.io and codeguides.io.